The film takes place in Iraq and tells the story of the Yazidi children born after the rape by jihadists of ISIS, and explain and show the story of a mother who is fighting for her daughter. She accepts to do this film totally in secret, secret from the family, from the community, because she refuses to choose between community and maternity, and this choice should not never have to, the survivor should not never have to do. After we will have a debate with somebody that you probably know, Ajna Jusić, who is the founder of the first association of children born out of wartime rapes. And this is worldwide first association. It's very, very important. She's showing us the path. I hope one day the Yazidi kids that you're going to see in the film will also create an association to defend their rights.
Hello people. My name is Ajna Jusić. I'm from Bosnia, from Sarajevo. I'm the member and the president of the Association for Forgotten Children of War. Just to make some kind of introduction of this story, it is very important to emphasize the fact that we gather children who are born out of sexual violence, wartime sexual violence. Also, we gather, Also, we gather children whose father were the members of the United Nations peacekeeping missions in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and children whose father were the members of the humanitarian organizations who were active during the war and also after the war. When we talk about this category of people, maybe it's good to know that after the war, each country that's member of the United Nations should do some special measures on the children who are in kind of the need after the war. So they need to gather those children, they need to map first of all, and they need to find the best way how to support their needs because they are damaged by war. When we talk about damage by war in our country, we did that very good when it comes to the children whose father were killed during the war, unfortunately. They die for nothing, as we can see today. And also there is some rights for the children whose father were damaged on another way, but they are still alive. As a patriarchy country and I think traditional country, and generally we live in the world that do not respect women, females. As a country, but not just Bosnia, we talk about whole world, we forgot children who are born out of sexual violence. That is war strategy, and also very important to tell that children born out of sexual violence during the war are also part of the strategy, because we talk about ethnic minority, we talk about this kind of problems during the war and strategies that were not just used in Bosnia. From this, we get a completely invisible population in our country, in all post-conflict countries, and also we get completely misplaced population that we still don't know where those children are. United Nations did not took any kind of responsibility, but they did very good report in the 1994 on the war rape during the war rape in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in which they tell that the one specific case in our country is that that is proved that children born out of war are strategies. The fact that so many survivors were kept in the camps until the moment that they cannot get abortion. So that is also one of the facts. Also, maybe good to know in this case is that Bosnia and Herzegovina as a country, we did not recognize forced marriages as a crime, war crimes. So in fact, we gather also children who are born from the forced marriages, but there is not much options in that direction, because they cannot even prove that they are born from the forced marriages. Then it's the same like sexual violence, but yeah, there is some signature. And yes, it was almost 3 decades after the war, in which survivors they survived so many prejudice, so many stigmatization and discrimination in the peacetime, but also one more of the problems were their children. So our association gather members from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we conduct the research because we believe that science is future, not just ethnic problems like in Bosnia or ethnic discussions. And in fact, it shows the reality of this country, that we completely forgot this population, but also there is very important differences between us and mothers. You know, they survived during the war, they had problems after the war, but when we talk about children born out of war, it is very important to tell that everything that those children survived, myself also, it happened in the peacetime. So also in our association we gather children who are the part of all ethnic groups, all traditions, all religions, but also our mothers survived from all 3 ethnic armies that were involved in war, and also plus peacekeeping missions. So we tried with this association show society that most of our problems lies in society, how society treats mothers, how society treats these children, because we were targeted as children of enemies. So not true. I'm child of my mother, and that's obviously. But in our fight, we had this, social fight, trying to put this responsibility on society, on us. Definitely, we are the part of this society, and we also had in our mind that we talk with society who were the part of the war. So there, we cannot use any kind of ethnic approach in this. We should use a human approach, human rights approach, because in Bosnia, on the end of the day, on the end of the list, we talk about human rights, and that's something that is not really good for us. But in other parts that you mentioned, now after this introduction, I'm going to go with your question. We had advocacy campaign, let's say strategy, that we created together with mothers, together with survivors from different parts of Bosnia and Herzegovina, in which we define that children born out of sexual violence should be recognized as civilian victims of war, because they are directly suffered because of the war. And in that case, when I mentioned you before, those children whose father were damaged or killed during the war, we talk about rights during the education, rights to healthcare system, rights to, priority high housing, finding the jobs, and etc. But in our advocacy process, we ask the same. The only difference is now that we have between those categories of the children who are affected by war, there is that part in education, because all these children, before they had education right until 26, and now in our case, because now I'm almost 30, so in our advocacy strategy, we ask that education system and support for education, we have at least until 35, but also we support approach that education is lifetime right, not just until 35. But give what you can get from this country. Okay. Thank you for your question. So when it comes to the UN peacekeepers babies and humanitarian babies, there is both case, rape and relationship. In Bosnia, it's very good and very well known that we had public sex houses which were used only by peacekeepers. In this state, there is also some children from there, but also there is a proof that most of the mothers or survivors were killed after they, after the being in the public sex houses. But also this relationship between a local woman and peacekeeper or humanitarian worker, it's something that's forbidden by United Nations regulations for the peacekeepers, and the biggest problem of those category of those people So they are not born from war. They are here from wartime rape. They are here in Bosnia, but they are not recognized by the biological fathers, because if they are recognized there, then they can be punished by the laws in their own country. The biggest problem of this is the fact that United Nations, they don't have a strategy, they don't have policies, and they don't have even department for these cases. And one of the biggest missed opportunities and, let's say, advocacy campaigns that we small people for them try to do is DNA for each peacekeeper, and then location of those fathers would be much easier. But in our association, in our cases, majority of our membership are the peacekeepers' babies and humanitarian babies, especially from the, that part of Tuzla, Srebrenica, which were the parts where peacekeepers had bases, yeah, and in our association, most of our members, they found their fathers on Facebook. So, but also it's very hard process to get it, and when you go on the court with biological father, you cannot do that in Bosnia. You need to go in their biological countries, and the biggest and most, I think, shocking problem of this that can be, and we had one member with that problem, and that's statelessness. So we had this case in which our member, she got her father on court in his country, and then because we don't have agreement between Bosnia and the other country, they told her that she need to cancel Bosnian citizenship, and she did it. And when she go to the country in which her father was and still is, they told her that she cannot get the citizenship because she was not born there, and she didn't spend first 3 years of life in that country, so she was statelessness. So I think that there is no, it's not Bosnian problem, and we really talk about United Nations as a house that should do something from that. And also, sorry for taking the time just to connect this and just trying to understand or think about it later. When you are in society like Bosnia or wherever, and when you tell that your mother was in a relationship with some stranger during the war, and there is no rape, there is no empathy for those children because there is no rape. It's something that is really hard to explain this topic in society. And I think that topic of the being born out of rape, like we did in Bosnia, we reach out to the society, we use media, everyone watch that catchy, sexy story to put on the online, on the social media, but when it comes to this, it's not really going very well. So, but yeah, I think that that's huge, and really huge, and I recommend to read more about the fresh cases of Haiti peacekeeper babies and see the numbers of those children, and it's
about the recognition. The Yazidi situation is very, 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 very complex. Not only talking about recognition, their existence is completely denied. At the beginning of our investigation, I spent 8 years doing this film. 8 years of investigation, of coming, going, to try just to understand what was going on. And at the beginning, I, of course, talked to all the ministers, Ministry of Health, authorities in Kurdistan. I went to orphanage. I see children. I said, do you have some Yazidi children born out of a rape? No. All these kids are not Yazidi. They are normal orphans, okay? Which is not true. I learned it after. I asked, of course, Yazidi community. One day I went to Lalish, the temple you saw in the film, And I interviewed Baba Shawish, who's the head of the temple, and I said, look, I've been here many years, coming, going, looking for this. I didn't study medicine, and you neither. But if you have thousands of your young women being kidnapped and being raped every day, it's impossible they didn't have kids. Where are the kids? He took the micro away and ran away from the camera. So, you know, I spent like 4 first years just to understand what was going on and what was the plan that is explained in the film. And it's still the case. I mean, it's when you go in Kurdistan, in Iraq, just ask. The people don't know the problem. They don't know those babies and exist. And those babies now are 9 years old. If you calculate 3 August 2014, 9 months of pregnancy, and then the main problem of this non-existence and not recognition is, for example, school. Maria, exactly. Maria in the film, she cannot go to primary school because she doesn't have paper, because she doesn't exist. And what's the solution? We have been talking with Anna and with the grandparents. Of course, one solution would be, and the grandparents, they are a little bit sorry about it, but they ask for it. They say, why don't you officially marry our son? Which is not possible because it's a rapist, it's a jihadist, he's in prison, and if she does so, her family will know about it. And it's impossible because she will be excluded from the community forever, and she didn't make that choice. So this is very, very complicated, and it's even complicated for those women who made the choice. You've seen in the film the mother who comes to recuperate they live in safe house, in secret place, and they don't have existence, and it's complicated for papers, it's complicated when they apply for visa, because they are in a program, then they give some papers, travel paper to the kids, because otherwise, of course, they cannot go. But sometimes they wait for 1, 2, 3 years in safe house. They cannot go out. It's a completely crazy situation. About border. The crossing of the border is completely secret, of course. There's one Swedish doctor who has been working on this issue since the beginning. We've been talking on the telephone many times. She didn't want our camera, unfortunately, because I think it would be interesting to tell her. That's why I put her name in the generic. But she died of COVID, so now her NGO is not as active as before. And the other person who is taking care is Peter Galbraith. And Peter Galbraith, you all know this name because this is the ambassador, American ambassador who signed the Dayton Agreement. I know it's a sensitive subject here, but Peter, what he told me during the interview, he said, Pascale, I've negotiated Dayton agreements. It was very important for me, for Bosnia, for war, to stop the war, even if it's not, it's sensitive now. But this issue, to reunite mother and kids, it is the most important thing, the most emotional moment of my life. And he just do it in humanitarian work. He's not paid, he's not NGO, he doesn't have an NGO, it's not the American government. Obviously, because he's well connected, he can push the things. When he was talking with the Kurdish part of Syria, Kurdish authorities, of course, coming where he comes from, makes influence, and it was needed, because who start the process. And when you see in the picture, when he signs, he's officially in charge of those kids. He says, 15, 20 kids who are yes, under my responsibility. Yeah, like responsibility, just because, of course, this is administrative work. So that's how it happens, crossing the border.
Just small add on the legal recognition or registration. For example, also Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, Myanmar, or Guatemala, where is cases of the gang rape, there is no possibility to register the child without father or without male responsibility, and that's one of the, it's not everything too bad in Bosnia. That's one of the biggest opportunity that our mothers got in Bosnia. They can register and get papers and ID for their children without male, without father. So yeah, that brings some other prejudice and problems after, but still you are completely on that base human rights. You are equal like other citizens, which is not the case in these countries.
No, it is.
Yeah, and
Actually,
also the same like Bosnia.
I read about this issue, which is a very big victory also about your association. We have the one of the recognition problem is also that you have to have a father name. So it doesn't exist a woman who has a kid alone. It's not like modern way of seeing the society. So of course they cannot have paper. And one more thing, 2 years ago there was a law for victims, Yazidi survivors, which was good. A law giving them recognition for the women, salary, right to education, right to land. And in this law, which is Iraqi law, there is not one word about the kids born out of rape.